say why at the end to wrap up. But I really did like Soul. I was worried that it would be too sad for me. I didn't want to cry, but I didn't cry. It was like a feel good story, and I thought that it was beautifully animated as well.
All right.
I
Someone
agree
else.
with all of that. You said
PJ.
my
PJ.
my feelings better than I did. Thank you.
Well, I particularly like that character Terry. Um, no, seriously though, I thought the movie had a lot of soul. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Jerry.
I loved it. You know, I did tell you
Yeah,
this, and I
we've
reacted
discussed
on
this.
your on your short video, and it was, yeah, I cried multiple times on that video on this movie.
Oh,
That was it's just one of those Pixar movies that you watch, and like, I know we're gonna go into deeper into the movie itself, but when I watched Up at the very first time, I cried at the very beginning, which I think 90% of people who watch that movie, or people who has that kind of mindset and heart, that resonates, and that's kind of, you know, how you react on that movie. And that Soul was somewhat similar for me. I just loved it. I loved it so much, everything about it. There was a few things that I, not thinking about it, you know, it kind of got lost, and didn't get an answer for. But yeah, but other than that, it's, yeah, you know, my ratings already.
that's interesting. To me, Up was a serious tearjerker when they did the montage of the man and the woman like going through their whole lives. Like that was seriously tear jerking.
It's at the beginning of the movie. Like, I remember I watched it quite a few times, and then I watched it with my wife as well, and then and she was like, "Are we gonna watch this movie now? Seriously? I mean, just after this scene?" It's like, well, but no, it kind of, there was a moment in the movie that when I was like, "Oh my god, this is it," and you just like get all this kind of life sensations, like what life is about and what matters. It's oh gosh, it's beautiful. I mean, I cannot say anything wrong about the movie.
Hmm.
Which
Hmm.
is a rare thing. Well,
Hmm.
not really rare. Everyone knows me as a kind of positive guy. Sorry, I stop.
No, it's fine.
Back to you.
I don't have so many negative things to say about this movie because, in all honesty, I just loved it and I loved like pretty much every aspect of it. I will say, and I don't know if you guys think the same thing as me, I do think this is probably the most adult Pixar movie that's ever been released, and I say that because like a lot of these other movies, they have very mature messages that adults can kind of reflect on. So you can watch Toy Story, you can watch all of these, like even something like Cars, you can kind of watch that even as an adult. But I feel like Soul is something that you would have more trouble watching as a kid, and I don't know if that's just me thinking that, or if you guys felt that same thing. It's because the themes that they're tackling, the whole kind of like appreciate the smaller moments in life, try not regret the decisions that you made, all of that I feel like applies much more to people that have lived longer lives than like just kids.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is
Yeah.
one of the reasons why the movie will be evergreen, because kids now watch it for one reason, but then we come back to it in 10 15 years, they're gonna think in a different way, and then says like, oh my god, I might have missed this aspect of the movie, which translates down to the, to the adult mature person, going through his life and thinking like, hey, did I actually not live my life for the fullest? And then you kind of can get a reflection as well onto your life when you watch it the second time, X couple of Y Z years later in the future. At least that's how I feel. Even when
I
I
think
would watch it back in the next 15 years or something, at one point for, reminiscence, I'm probably gonna feel somewhat similar.
I think it's appropriate for all ages, and there's enough. I think. I mean, I'm trying to put myself in a toddler mind, which long time ago, very long time ago for me. But I feel like all just the softness of the designs, like the soul world where all the little baby souls are, like all of that stuff visually. Like if I were a child, I'd be like really like excited about it. And there's like these little babies running around, like little, like little baby souls, and like, I feel like that's like something that when you're a toddler that like really excites you.
There's
visual-
no. Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say visually, there's
Ooh, I
a
don't know what just
dichotomy
happened.
between this really kind of childlike animation in the afterlife or whatever you want to call it, and then this extremely photorealistic
The
animation
above.
in the real world.
Yeah.
And just on second viewing, the animation is just spectacular. I mean, I just can't get over how good it looks, especially in the nightclub scenes. And when people are playing instruments in the movie, it looks like people are really hitting those notes. And like when he's playing piano and stuff, it looks real, like he's hitting the actual. I don't know for
Right.
sure, but it looks convincing, right? So when they show the real world, you like, totally buy into it because of the photorealistic look. But yeah, for kids, you have that like really simple kind of 2D line animation that's very actually kind of clever. And I like how Terry was animated and all the kind of worker Jerry and stuff
The
like that, all the
Jerrys, yeah.
workers in that world. Can I just note the incredible voice cast? You have Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey who are great, but you also have Graham Norton who does the voice of Moon.
Oh
Wing.
yeah,
That's right.
gosh.
You got Rachel
He's
House does the voice of Terry. Felicia Rashad does the voice of Joe's mother.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
Donnell Rawlings from the Chappelle Show does the voice of Dez, the barbershop guy. And by the way, that barbershop scene is the best scene in the movie. I'll like watch that scene alone.
It's for such a good scene, yeah.
Questlove is the voice of Curly, and I believe you do hear like a Tribe Called Quest kind of music in the background. And you got David Diggs and stuff like that. But yeah, I was just like, the first time I watched it, I didn't know about the voice actors. I'm like, everybody sounds so familiar, and I had to look them all up. So it's great.
Oh wow! Look at Felicia Rashad having a winter career renaissance.
She
was
deserves it too.
Mhm.
Right?
She was in
She
the
was
Creed
in,
films.
she was in Jingle Jangle that I just watched.
I haven't seen that.
last week as well. Trek on the Tube. You motivated me to watch that. Thank you.
I did. It was good. It's
Trek
fun.
on the Tube ruined my Christmas with some dabbing garbage that he sent me that I couldn't get out of my head. But anyways, like so, like
And Gary mentioned Up earlier, right? That's the one movie where in the first 10 minutes you're breaking down. Like you can't, you're not human if you don't. Like it gets everyone. It really does. Everyone says about that first 10 minutes or first 5 minutes of Up just sucks you in. But I gotta say the emotional ending in this, like I didn't really feel nothing. I can imagine like kids will latch onto it, but like I was like, yeah, she's a soul who's been kind of put down by everybody who has tried to mentor her, I guess. Is that how it works? She's been mentored by all these different souls.
I
that
didn't
say,
say
like,
that
you're,
she was
you're no
being
good.
put down though.
Yeah,
I
well,
didn't
I
They
think
go
think
it
through that
that way.
montage at the end where she remembers everybody criticizing her over her time as a soul, I guess. And that's
I
why
think
that's why she
didn't
feels so
feel
insecure.
inspired.
Yeah, she feels like she doesn't have a spark or whatever, and of course.
for me, it was two
does.
things that were interesting about those two characters coming together. Is that for her, she's like never been ready to hatch. Like she has everything she needs to be like a person,
Yeah.
but she just never wanted to hatch. And for him, he never like blossomed, or what was that thing when they like go into the like into inspiration and focus and
Oh,
like,
the zone.
the zone, right? Like,
Yeah.
so for him, like he's he experiences the zone when he's playing music, but like everything else in his life he doesn't like enjoy. And so when they mixed up together, like she shows him how to enjoy everything else in life, and he really appreciates it, and that makes his like
Got to
zone
enjoy that
even-
pizza.
yeah, like no, but I mean, like those things I really felt throughout the movie. Like again, I was joking when I'm saying like I'm really old, but I'm getting older, and you start to like kind of take for granted a lot of like simple things. And that was one of the joys about this movie, was like remembering simple things. And again, Braxton, being in the pandemic, it's like I haven't hugged someone other than maybe my mom, in such a long time. But like even just the the joy of like connecting with someone in person, and like, or going to dinner with someone for the first time, or just going to dinner with an old friend, like all those little joys this movie like really reminded me of. And also just to kind of like focus and be in the moment, and like, yeah, there was so many good messages for adults in this movie, and that's what I think I liked about it, especially if you're like um in any ways creating stuff, like a writer or artist, or that kind of stuff. Like for me, this movie was really kind of a way to re-inspire and reinvigorate my creative spirit in a sense, and kind of not give up, because you never know how you'll come to that place of contentment.
I think there's a really strong message in the barbershop scene that I think is put there for adults that maybe kids will understand, but it's specifically for adults. And you have that other ending, I think, which is more for the kids. But the character of Dez, the main barbershop dude, they bring up a point about how he wanted to be a veterinarian and his daughter got sick, so he became a barber. And Joe, or 22, points out, like, well, how can you be happy? He's like, I'm just fine. Like, that's life. You got to pretty much, you got to play the hand you're dealt. And his positive attitude about that. And by the way, there's another character in the barbershop where 22 points out his insecurities or something, and he's like, that's cold. And he's the guy later who accidentally gets his soul sucked out. That all that stuff was hilarious, by the way. I love that.
Yeah, that's funny. Funny you say that, the barbershop scene and Daz itself. I kept reminding myself of Ray from what's the Bucket List.
The Bucket
Ray,
List?
played by Morgan Freeman, and it's a Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson movie.
Okay, yeah.
That movie's on my bucket list.
Oh my god! That one scene and that one character reminded me of him, because I'm not sure how many of you seen the movie, but basically he talks about how he wanted to be a history professor, and then his wife got pregnant, and he had to take the first job that he came across with, and he was doing the same job for 45 years, and of course he had to be happy with what, and he was happy, and he was doing all this studying in the back and everything, so he never gave up on his dreams to be clever, but like to be on that stage where he could be a history professor. But it's just, I find the parallel between the two stories, which was a good to see for in a different story.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. So you guys talk about, well, Gary, you say you teared up at the end of this one. Braxton, I don't know if you had like an emotional response to the end of the film. I usually do, depending on which Pixar, but this time I didn't, and I don't think it's because like the movie wasn't as good. I really do think it's because like the lessons that you learn and the conclusions that the film comes to, they kind of dispersed throughout the entire film. It's not like a big culmination at the end where there's like a realization of the message, or however you want to put it. Like in Coco, there's this whole big thing at the end. This time it really is like as you say, PJ, you got like the barbershop scenes that kind of teach you lessons. Just like the whole, I don't know, there's like a lot of messages that are dispersed throughout the entire run of the film, and so it's kind of like realizing as you go on. That's why I didn't get that big emotional punch at the end, I think.
I love how Dorothea has that line about a fish goes up to another fish and says, I'm looking for the ocean. And the fish says, well, you're in it. And the fish goes, no, this is water. I'm looking for the ocean. And I think that's about how sometimes reaching your ambitions, or like doing that thing you've always wanted to do, doesn't give you the immense satisfaction that you would think it would.
Well,
like
you build it up, don't you?
Yeah, you build it up in your head so much, and he finally gets to perform with Dorothea, and it's like fantastic. And the way that scene is lit, and just the way it looks, is amazing.
Yeah.
But he's pretty much. I think they don't spell it out, but I think there's a point where he realizes that it's okay for him to be a music teacher, a band teacher. Like, he can be good at that because he has that one student, remember? And I'm glad they put her in there with the trombone. She's putting up a front saying like she doesn't want to do it, but she really loves it. And she's even improvising at the beginning, which is a great touch. So I find upon rewatch, the stuff in heaven or the other world or wherever, that stuff is less interesting to me. I'm waiting to get back to Earth, like the second time I watch it.
Oh, really?
By the way, I love Graham Norton's character in real life, spinning the sign and dancing. I laughed out loud at that part. And and the woman's like screaming at him, like, "Get back to work! Get out of here, you bum!" It's one of the best Pixar movies in that respect. I find personally, just as I couldn't get into
I'm the other way around.
The cuteness of it. You know what I mean?
I'm the other way around because you see, I found that the photorealism of the city blew me away, and I feel like they really took from one of the lists of loved Pixar movies is The Good Dinosaur, but The Good Dinosaur has like these amazingly beautiful photorealistic backdrops and panoramic views of like nature, and so I feel like they used that and applied it to a cityscape and did New York, and they really did New York justice. But then like the visual style of the people and the cat, I felt like that was maybe a bit more generic, a bit more like Secret Life of Pets, any kind of even if the visual quality is way higher. But everything going on in like the above or like the other kind of otherworldly situation, all of that was just so creative. And Pixar have this way of they take a concept and just run with it. They'll take the concept of the Day of the Dead, like in Coco, and they just like run with it, and they go as far as they can with this idea, and they become so creative with it. And I absolutely loved the entire thing of like the lost souls and just the concept of like, if you get lost in the zone is a positive thing, but if you stay too long in the zone, then you eventually become a lost soul as well. Just that kind of, I don't know. And so visually that was stunning to me, and the concepts and the way they delivered them I found were absolutely fantastic. So I loved the upstairs stuff more than I loved the downstairs stuff. That's just me.
I appreciated the design of what was it, Terry, who goes around in the real world in the line is like
that was great.
In angles of stuff, and like just the way that was done was the integration there was great. So
Yeah.
I also like that there were these connections from the real world to the soul world, like the character Graham Norton plays that can actually soul travel or travel to this plane, and like that was cool. That his day, like in real life, he's just like a sign guy, like and up there he's like liberating lost souls, and he's a pirate. Like he's got a pirate ship, and he travels through there, and
he's like the coolest person upstairs.
He's the coolest person ever. Yeah, it was really cool.
I want to give Disney credit though for not revealing anything about the body switch in the marketing, which they could have very easily done, because that happens.
I think they would have hurt the marketing actually if they had done that.
I have a theory that the movie, the Will Smith animated movie, Tom Holland, Will Smith, Spies in Disguise, the whole trailer was about the body switch of the man into the bird. And I think if they had showed that in the marketing for Soul, even if their intention wasn't like to spoil anything, it would have looked too much like Spies in Disguise. Oh, instead of a bird, now it's a cat. But that twist, I had no idea. I'm glad I wasn't spoiled for it before I saw it, because that came out of nowhere.
I got real scared when they did it. The moment they body swapped, I was like, "Oh no, where's this movie going?" That seems too childish. But they really play it really well. It doesn't like impose on the film, and on the contrary, they play up the switch in such like an adult manner. It really gives you that perspective of 22 experiencing life and everything it has to offer. And then, of course, what's his name? Joe, is it?
Yeah.
He finds himself in the body of the cat, and so it was great.
22 inhabiting Joe was just hilarious and a very good character study, because Joe in the cat is observing how people will react to him as 22, and like the funny part where he goes in and kisses the woman right on the lips, or she kisses the woman right on the lips, and there's another part where she has to talk to Joe's mother as him.
Yeah,
all that
great.
like
all of that
worked very well.
Really great. Yeah.
And the naivete of 22 as Joe in the barbershop sparks this like big philosophical conversation, and Joe as the cat is just sitting there like, wow, this is interesting. You know what I mean? So all that is very adult, very well written. subtle. The animation is just like, people don't realize how difficult it is to make this stuff convincing, like human characters with exaggerated features and stuff in a photorealistic environment. Like the voice acting is like totally on point for almost everything you see, like all the British and Australian, New Zealand actors in the other world and all that stuff, and then all the actors in the real world fit the character so perfectly. Like Jamie Foxx, I'm not even thinking about Jamie Foxx, when I'm watching his performance. It is Joe. And then when it's Tina Fey as Joe, I'm not even thinking about Tina Fey because Tina Fey's so good. So I think it will definitely probably win the best animated feature at the Academy Awards. It's an easy win anyway.
What's the other one? Grinch?
Grinch came out?
Grinch and what is it? Like Trolls World Tour? Yeah, come on.
I don't mean maybe they shouldn't even have an Academy Awards this year. I don't know. It's weird.
I wanted to point out Ogre Trekky's comment here. He says, I hope there's a sequel, although that would be difficult because I wanted more when this film was finished. Like, I don't know about a sequel, but I will say that did you guys feel a bit like kind of cheated by the end of it? Because you see that 22 goes somewhere, but you don't know where she ends up.
Mm-hmm.
Or where like it's neither male nor female, these little souls. You don't know where 22 ends up, what kind of life 22 is going to end up having, and it would have just been so nice to have a little montage.
No, I love it because it makes you wonder if that's you, if that soul is yours. Like if 22 is in fact you, and it gives kids the opportunity to believe that maybe that's my soul, or and that's my life. So I actually think it was note perfect that they didn't reveal who 22 becomes.
I totally agree. Like, yeah, you think about the possible after that. Like your mind and your imagination can just like run free. Like after watching the movie, I hope that we don't see. Well, I shouldn't say I hope that we don't see a second one, but I don't think there needs to be a second one.
The message is pretty complete for me. Yeah, like
I totally hope that we're not gonna see a second one. In some cases, the movie is so good that if they would do another one, that would just totally ruin the experience for the first one. In some cases, I mean,
it wouldn't ruin the experience. I just wouldn't watch it.
Okay, but imagine Up having a follow-up sequel.
I mean, but the thing is like that's the thing. That's what I think Pixar does brilliantly, is that like the Toy Story ones have like a million sequels, but none of the other ones do. None of the ones that like feel like complete stories. They've done a good job of not revisiting these older movies. Like there's not a Bug's Life 2, is there?
No, but that doesn't need a second one.
Right, exactly.
Okay, Pixar have two ways of doing movies. There's like one kind of style where they establish an entire universe, which is like Cars and Toy Story, or like Monsters University. So there's like a whole concept where it's like monsters live in this world and they need to power their machines and technology with scares, right? With screams. Or like toys are animated, except those kind of like universe things, they have sequels. But when you look at self-contained, like strong message stories, like so you guys mentioned Up, but then there's like WALL-E, Ratatouille, that kind of stuff. They never get those sequels because they know where to like.
Not gonna lie, I do want a WALL-E sequel though. WALL-E's.
I would love to see a WALL-E where they make the Earth feel better again, but I don't know how they could deal with that.
It's E.T. and then WALL-E. Like those are my two favorite films ever. And WALL-E was my when I saw the marketing for WALL-E many years ago, I was just like so captive. I was just so in love with WALL-E. Like I never felt so strongly that I wanted to see a movie. I just knew it was going to be perfect before.
Oh yeah, Pixar merchandise. I do have some.
Yeah, I do actually. I forgot that too. But I never. Here he is. Hold on. Here. WALL-E.
Oh my God, where you I was looking for so long for that size. Where you can get that?
I don't know if you can get it anymore. This was a Disney Store one, and I lost the remote. It's
probably a Disney Store.
Yeah, I lost the remote for it, but his head goes down, and you can drive him around and stuff.
Disney, stop selling BB-8s.
I've got two discs from like McDonald's promotion from like 2008, and I have never got anything else. But they're really like
Yeah.
basic.
But I feel like that movie to me, I already knew I loved it before I ever saw it. That rarely happens, and it delivered. Like I was like totally in love with Wally. So sorry, I just had to get on my Wally soapbox.
No, but I think you're making a good point with bringing in Wally as well, and we talked about Up with Coco, and with this movie as well in particular, that you have a story and you kind of left to think about what's going on, what's going to happen with your life, with how you think about it, and you take whatever you can from it, or whatever it values from that movie. It doesn't necessarily have to get a follow-up, because the message that it conveyed through the movie in any of these, it will just, if it touches you at once or twice or 1,500 times when you watch it, that's brilliant. You don't need to watch it and you don't need that's 5-7 sequel for a movie like this. That's my opinion, though.
You know what? Not Wally. First time I saw that, it's one of the Pixar movies you get a bit emotional with. And then Toy Story 3 at the end of that, I remember not only the part where they almost die, but like the ending with the kid passing on the toys to the little girl, like all that, like it messed me up, man. I was like, what the hell? Why am I getting emotional? But then but these aren't necessarily my favorite Pixar movies. You know what I mean? Like Up isn't a particularly favorite of mine at all, but I'm saying like that first 10 minutes. Ratatouille is my actual favorite Pixar movie. And I think it's the
choice.
I think it's the most adult, but it doesn't like give me it doesn't give me the feels in any way. I just enjoy it. However, I do like, spoiler for the end, the guy eats the ratatouille and he has the memory of his mother making it. That kind of is a nice moment, but it's like the emotional stuff in this movie is not what makes it good. I just liked all the real world stuff. And it's like, I understand maybe other people they'll like a Pixar movie based on how much they cried, I guess, or whatever. Or you know what I mean? Like
it's a cryometer on every Pixar movie.
Because that's what they seem to aim for every time with these movies. They're trying to get you at some point. And I'm like, no, not this one. Not this one.
I don't think that's
things,
the point. I think probably the reason that they just these are human stories, even though it's a bit far-fetched, like in a sense of Wall-E, but these are human stories at the end, and if you're, as you said at the beginning, if you're a normal human being, you get the feels, you get the emotions from it, and that shows you that you have a certain soul, to go back to the movie, that a normal human being probably will find after watching a movie like this.
And that's what when I watch a Pixar movie, I'm waiting for them to give me that sneak attack. And sometimes it doesn't happen. I'm a little disappointed. Like Onward, which is an okay movie. I like Soul much better than Onward, but Onward had that moment with the stuff with the dad at the end. But yeah, that stuff was like, oh wow. But still, it's not the greatest Pixar movie.
They played this one a bit different. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say what's amazing about Pixar is that like they're so. I can't think of any, like every one of their movies seems just like so original and not necessarily in the way that you'd expect. Like I can't think of any other movie that's like those Pixar movies, you know what I mean? Like other than Bug's Life, which is like ants, but that's not Bug's Life's fault. But like
there was a time where studios put out the same movies all the time, right? There's like two Escape from the Zoo movies.
But every concept that I think the ethos at Pixar is just an amazing thing. I'm really this is like a nerdy behind the things, but I'm really glad how affiliated they are with Apple and Steve Jobs, and like how that was their start, and like the story of Pixar itself is just so good, and it gives me so much hope that like a company like Pixar can exist in this super derivative commercial, spit it out to make the most money kind of world. You really get the sense that they give no F's about like if the movie's gonna make money or not. They like it feels like they're just telling the story they really want to, and so that's what I really enjoy about Pixar movies. And I feel like Soul doesn't doesn't disappoint in that sense either. Like it's so original and so like
It gives you that quality.
yeah,
that
it goes where it has to go. Like it goes to like a lot of really deep places, but it also like feels like a complete film, and it's just a delight to see that in general.
I agree. It's especially like under the Disney umbrella. You'd think that maybe like Disney like to control and try to normalize or homogenize everything, but they really seem to let Pixar do whatever the hell they want, except for the millions of cartoons that they have to release on Disney Plus now for some reason. But we'll see where that goes. Just to bounce up what PJ was saying earlier, the sneak attack surprise emotion thing that they do. There was a moment where Pixar started to like they would always kick off the movies with like a either a short story or an emotional story that would end in like the death of the father, the loss of the mother and the kids. You know what I mean? Like something that would really hit you, and then the story would kind of begin after this emotional down point. And we still had that in the sense, but they played it very differently because dude dies, right? He's like dodging all the traffic and whatever, and then he dies. And they played it so kind of joyfully and bubbly that I didn't really notice that he died at first. I was like, wait a minute, is he really dead? Is this what's really going on in the movie? So they played that dramatic moment really differently. They played it for laughs, and then the emotion came later on rather than like really hitting you with that. And I like that. I like the change up.
Wouldn't it have been messed up if they showed like his cracked skull at the bottom of the sewer or something like that? They did like a slow dramatic zoom on his body and like you see his soul come out. Yeah. But it's like they gotta play it kind of goofy so the kids aren't as shocked by it, I guess, or something like that,
Yeah. But I was surprised by it because they got the whole montage of him like dodging traffic and oh, that's funny. He's not dying, and then he died.
I knew that was the point where he died just because that was in the marketing. That's the only thing they really gave away. I'm glad they didn't give away the body switch though.
I have to comment myself on what you said about marketing. I have to comment myself on not watching anything recently in terms of trailers and stuff. I knew nothing about the movie, and I think that's the best way to do it. It just surprises you a lot.
I have a Scottish question for you and Earl Grey Trekkie Gary, because I thought we what does
I just live here.
My wee sister loved it too.
Oh, wee means little.
Oh, thank you.
But if you say we in England, that means piss.
Oh.
It's true. Like, I'm gonna go drop a wee, and then that means you in a pub and you go have a piss.
You've never heard Scotty say wee lass?
Oh, I guess I have. I never realized that it meant like.
Now you have to. Now you have to.
That's true,
you have to listen to your rewatch when you watch Scotty and Star Trek. Like, and he's like,
I never realized it.
You gotta do a wee little job here, and
it kind of sounds like it does make sense. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
All right. Okay, Braxton, do you have any like standout moments that you want to talk about or something?
Standout moments. So, like PJ was saying, I think that my favorite part of the movie was the barbershop scene. Like you were saying, Sean, I really liked the heaven scenes more than I liked the stuff that was on Earth. I really also liked the music scenes as well. I thought that was so like beautifully animated, so lively.
Yeah, Trent Reznor was involved with the music.
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Yes, thank you. And that scene at the end when he's like falling with her, and that I just can hear the music now. It like gets you real like jazzed up and vibe.
Can I just say my friend's dad years ago? My friend used to listen to Nine Inch Nails, and that's how I got introduced to him, like back in the '90s. My friend's dad used to take him aside and say how the music was disgusting. And this lead singer, who we didn't know his name, but he was referring to Trent Reznor, was a loser, and he'd end up ODing on drugs and all this. And I'm just thinking about that now because this guy's father hated Nine Inch Nails, and it's so crazy that Trent Reznor, he did The Social Network, I believe. He did. Yeah. He's done a lot of fantastic work in recent years, and he's just like getting better.
Yeah, the way that he's transition.
Hasn't he already won Academy Awards for scores?
On while you're on the music,
he did the girl with the dragon tattoo by David Fincher, right. I believe, as well. Anyway,
he works
go
with
ahead,
David
sorry.
Fincher. It looks like, but that song when it came out, PJ, was so controversial. My parents like
Which
freaked
song?
out. Like, I want to, like,
Close
like
yeah,
an
yeah.
animal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is. I don't know why I feel like we're talking about Soul, so we have to be very like, oh, just in case someone's whatever. But I remember
Maybe
being,
kids will discover Nine Inch Nails through Soul now.
Dude,
I might
Closer.
discover Jamie Foxx.
Yes, Closer. Thank you. That's the name of the song. Thank you, Closer. That's
Closer
right.
is the WAP of like the early
Yes.
'90s. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. You nailed it. But I remember my parents were like, the world is ending. They just thought like our generation was the worst generation because of that song, and they even
Oh,
like
they hadn't seen nothing yet.
yeah, like I'm so glad it's true. So
Remember
I'm
the
so
song
glad-
"Wiggle Wiggle"?
No, I don't
Wiggle,
remember
wiggle. There's
Uh-huh,
very explicit lyrics in that song about.
Oh, okay, no, I don't know that.
But my sister used to play that really loud just to piss my mother off because she hated the really graphic kind of dance, and like there was a lot of stuff in the early '90s that was like extremely dirty.
Did it
Well,
go
my-
like
and
wiggle
rap
wiggle?
my
music.
check,
manager
check?
used to.
I don't
Remember,
All right, we're too off course. Let's bring it back.
too off course,
This is nonsense.
abandoned ship.
Sorry, but the
yeah,
point
You're
is
losing
that
the
you
soul
can
of the
never.
conversation.
You can never you should never judge a musician because they choose to do a song that's like vulgar. They might be like a genius musician, and so that I think that was the point, PJ, right? Like,
Trent,
know,
the point is
okay.
Trent Reznor did a great job in the movie
Yeah.
Soul.
Yeah, exactly right.
And not just him. While you're on the music, I do have to point out that the most of the piano music and the jazz, it's played by I love that guy, John Baptiste, who's
Mm.
the actual lead musician in the Stephen Colbert Late Show.
Mm.
Absolutely
He was
fantastic. I
also
did not
in it-
know. I just upon listening to the soundtrack over and over again, I was like, oh my god, that guy is he's amazing in the show. But knowing that he was involved and just makes it even more special.
He's also in a good show on HBO that nobody knows about. And it's called Treme. It's set in New Orleans, and John Baptiste is in it, and
Oh,
a
really?
bunch of other actors. Steve Earle, is in it and stuff like that. But yeah, John Baptiste. I've been watching Colbert Show ever since he premiered, and yeah, I didn't know that, but it's no surprise to me because he's like one of the greatest piano players
He
in
is.
the business.
And actually, I think in Disney Plus, there's a few short like extras that I was watching, and they were talking about the music, and they brought in so many good legends from the jazz era, from New Orleans.
Those are
style
extras on
jazz.
Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, on Disney
yeah,
Plus.
I
And
completely
exactly.
overlooked the fact that they have extras on a lot of these
Right.
movies.
Not every one of them, but for this
Disney
one, they have
Plus.
quite a lot.
Disney Plus, if you go into like the Pixar tab on Disney Plus, they've got a lot of behind the scenes, and not just about Soul, like about the creation and like the process that they go through for like all of these movies. And like
Right.
you guys were mentioning earlier, it's they really are kind of old fashioned in a sense because it's not everyone's at home doing their part at home and no one's together. It's like every day they get together, they're watching these scenes. They're watching the scenes that they've just animated all together. Everyone's part of the writing process. Like they have the main writers, yes, but the animators are involved in like how the scene is going to play out because like everyone has their word and everyone. It's really good to
It's
see
an
the
easy
connection.
word.
I just skimmed
Really?
through the extras in some of these movies on Disney Plus, and some of them have like full audio commentary and everything. I had no idea. And like there's
There's a
like,
whole new world
some
opened up
of
for
them
you.
have like 4 or 5 featurettes, some like 4 minutes, some 9 minutes. So like there's some stuff to look at.
Yeah,
there.
for Soul, I think there's like almost like an hour worth of material just
Oh,
that
really?
you can
Wow.
watch. The animation, the music, storyboarding, etc. It's mind blowing.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, you do mention on the animation style that some of the animations are, especially with the city and the Earth real life stuff, is really photorealistic. And when you said that when he was playing on the piano, you can actually feel the piano. It almost seems like you can feel he's playing on a piano. Pixar, especially with Up, that was the first time when I was watching documentaries on almost every favorite of movies of mine, and on Up, Pixar animators said that the creation now, it's not that they cannot do certain characters or certain objects, is that they went into the actual touch and feel to the items. If you to the materials, to the aesthetics. If you go back to Up, that was the first movie when they actually took more attention to details in terms of how the fabrics looks and feels, how the clothing feels on a person, and how everything interacts with each other. That was just an absolutely mind-blowing and good addition to the animation world. And of course, Soul, I think, put it in a new level. At least that's how I felt with it. It was absolutely beautiful.
If you really want to study the evolution of Pixar animation, just watch the 4 Toy Story movies, because the first one
Yeah.
looks so not bad, but for the time it's
For
pretty
now,
good.
now it looks a bit
Now it looks so
early.
not good. It looks worse than what you'd see on TV. And then the second one's a vast improvement, and then the third one's even better than that. But the fourth one is like, it gets into that, like, this looks like a live action version of Toy Story.
Well,
Because
yeah,
the
Story
toys
4
themselves
begins
look
with,
so photorealistic, and then the backgrounds look 100% realistic. So it's like, if you were a time traveler and you went from Toy Story 1 and then watched 4, you would think it was a live action movie. You actually
remake.
would. Yeah, you would.
The opening sequence in Toy Story 4 with like the rain going down, the water going down the gutter, and RC's kind of stuck there. I was just blown away by that. I was like, "What am I? Did they just like put an RC car in like a gutter and start filming it? What did they do?" And it was brilliant. I will say though that visual, like, and this may seem weird, but I don't like the visual style of Toy Story 3. I think it's the one that looks the least
It's a
appealing.
bit fuzzy. It
Exactly.
seems it's fuzzy to me. Yeah.
Everything is kind of fuzzy. Yeah, I don't know how
I
to
have
say
not
it.
watched the fourth one yet, but I think still 3 is the favorite for me.
For
some
four is-
reason.
visually, I'm speaking, not the story. Visually, the fourth is like photorealistic, crisp. Whereas the
I
second
love 2,
one,
man. Nothing beats 2.
I
Like,
agree.
2 is they haven't come close to being as good or as entertaining or as lovable as 2. But I mean, they're all good. Isn't that funny how like each one of them
That's the
It's
thing.
just fantastic.
All the Toy Stories are very, very good films, and so I mean, as much as I'm scared every time Pixar announces like a sequel to something, if they really wanted to announce a sequel to Soul, I would be hesitant, but I would still go and watch it, and I'm pretty sure I could find something to like with it.
I wouldn't
I don't
want a
know.
sequel to Soul.
I would
I-
want
It's
to
a
see
very
either.
good standalone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if they did do one, I would really have a lot of trust and want to see it, because I think like that's the
I
thing.
don't want
Pixar.
one either.
I don't think Pixar just does that. That's what I'm saying. Like if they did it, there's a reason. Like they have another story to tell in that thing. So I trust Pixar like that.
But you know
I
what?
hope
A
they
lot
never-
of
they never
Disney
go back.
movies have the same issue as well. Like some of them, it's a good standalone movie, and then they make 2-3 stories out of it. You either miss out on them. I mean, don't get me wrong, but when I was little, I watched Lion King, the first one. I loved it. I watched Little Mermaid. I loved it. I loved Seven Dwarfs and Snow White. Loved it. But then they came up with these different stories. I watched Lion King too, but I still don't remember what was in it.
There was a trend with those films because they were so like Disney had been kind of suffering with their animation department, and Little Mermaid came out, and they were just like, "Oh my gosh, this is like." So from
Yeah, that
that
was beautiful,
period,
but then the
from that
following
period all the way
movies-
there, what I liked though is my excuse for I've never seen those sequels is because they were all direct to video. They never got releases in the
They're not
theater.
they're not Walt Disney Animation Studios. They are
Right.
Disney.
You haven't seen Simba's Pride?
Nope, I
Some-
haven't seen any. I haven't seen any of the sequel. I haven't seen any of
Lion
those
King
like
2,
direct to video.
Lion King
ones,
2
yeah.
is probably one of the best sequels there is, and I think it
Really?
really does live up to the Lion King one. And the music is so good
Really.
that even in the Lion King remake live action, they used music from Simba's Pride.
Well,
it's a
and-
very good film. And
I don't know, but
Aladdin
that was
used
the
to be
other thing.
very good as
That was
well,
the other thing about those, though, is the animation was clearly less good in
Not
those
in
direct to
Simba's
video.
Pride.
Huh?
Not in Simba's Pride.
Okay, I'll have to check it out then. Because
Simba's Pride, like Lion King 2, there's another one called Lion King 1.5, which is take it as you
Timon and
want.
Pumbaa.
It's a Timon and Pumbaa adventure. It's
Oh,
to be
gotcha.
taken with like 15 grains of salt there. It's a bit strange,
that's
but
funny.
but no, those sequels that Gary's talking about, those are Disney Toons, so they were direct to video, And the funny thing is, John Lasseter, which is one of the current head honchos at Pixar, when he came in to Disney Animation, he shut down the Disney Toons sequel department immediately. He was like, "Nope, we're disrespecting the legacy of these classics."
That's awesome. It's
fuck off
already
with
done.
that.
It's already done.
It's like, we don't want any more of this. Just leave it be, because like the Fox and the Hound 2 is god awful, like just atrocious.
I've never seen any of the
Tarzan,
twos.
Tarzan 2 isn't even like a 2. It's basically 4 or 5 episodes of a TV
I
show.
love that you've seen all
together.
these.
I have seen
love
them.
that-
I've watched
like,
them all.
You need to do like you have
They're
so
all
much material
trash.
for this channel.
They're all trash. They're all on the lower end of the spectrum. Screw them. But yeah, I think Simba's Pride is actually it gets a lot more merit because what's she called? Oh, what's the villain called? Kira? I think she's called Kira. I forget. There's a villain which is not Scar, but she's like she's a female lion, and she's just amazing.
Oh, I thought it's
She's
like
brilliant.
Scar's long lost
Isn't
daughter.
she the daughter of Scar?
Scout. She's either the daughter, either one of the females that he had taken in his, because like you know how lions work, right? Like the alpha male has multiple females in the pride, and I think that
we're
she was
getting
like,
into adult territory here.
oh no, I think she was the head. I think she was the like the alpha female in that pride of Scars or something like that. And so there's a kid which is basically Scars or something. Kovu. You know, it's great. It's a great story.
Actually, some of the sequels of animated movies that went straight to video, some of them are like not very well animated.
Oh,
some
yeah,
of them are
some-
actually
some-
pretty good.
I think at the time it wasn't like, you know, if you didn't have it on the movies, either came out as a TV movie or you had it on VHS.
The sequel to
Zero.
Peter Pan, I don't know if that was in theaters or not, but the animation in that is pretty good. Like the animated sequel to that, Return to Neverland, I think it's called.
Peter Pan is better than Peter Pan because Peter Pan is garbage.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, it doesn't hold up
How'd you
as
feel
much.
about
It doesn't hold up as
Oh,
much.
wow.
Look at that face.
It's a little. It's
Just
a
like,
little.
what?
Yeah. Like you got my attention when you
But
said that.
FYI,
Them's
did
his
you know
fighting
that?
words.
Did you know that Toy Story 2 was supposed to be a straight-to-video film because they didn't believe in a theatrical sequel to Toy Story for some weird reason?
Did you know they
And-
lost Toy Story 2?
It ended up
That what?
They lost Toy Story 2?
no, they didn't lose it. They were gonna make it straight to video, and
I'll tell you the story after.
but did you know like they rushed that movie? That movie was done in a big crunch, and it turned out so good for 1999. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
amazing. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that never went straight to video.
There's this whole story about Toy Story 2. Like once they had the final edit, the final cut,
Okay.
it was they lost it. Like the hard drive, like something happened in the
Oh, you
studios
serious?
that they completely lost the entire movie, and they were like, "We've lost it. We've lost the final cut of the film." Oh my goodness! And by chance, one of the, and I don't know who it was. If it was like an animator, like one of the people that was working on it had taken it home, had taken a version, like a copy of the film home, to like rewatch it or do some work on it, whatever it was. And they're like, this woman saved a Toy Story 2 because she had the copy of the film. Other than that, like yeah, it was like, oh my goodness.
Is there a
That
documentary I
seems
can watch
insane.
on that? I should
Yeah,
look that up.
Yeah, we should have to find it. But the
Why
final render,
did I
she
cut
had
out
the
or did
she
Sean
had
cut out?
maybe I don't know. She had the final render at home.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my god, we could have lost Toy Story 2. Like, imagine having to restart that from scratch. It could have killed Pixar Animation Studios, actually.
Yeah, they would have died.
Oh no. All right. I think we're gonna give like a kind of like roundtable final comments on this thing because we're talking about just everything now. I've got to find my my rating scale. So that
It's
you
all
all
Pixar
rate it.
related.
It's all Pixar related, so that's fine. Wait a minute. Let me find
Even the
my-
Nine Inch Nails stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What's the matter? What Soul Hail is? Where are you?
Sorry, my headphones. These are beautiful. Apple released these like lovely headphones.
You're having problems with them.
There's
But
a great
yeah,
Did you think
There's-
it's paid for this promotion?
There's a funny
just
line.
saying-
There's a funny line in the movie by Terry where he's looking through, or she's looking through the file folders, and it's just like a throwaway line. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to find this funny, but as she goes, "There's an awful lot of Garcias in here."
Oh,
It's like Garcia is a very common last name. It's like in Canada, believe it or not, white is the most common last name, or at least in Newfoundland, it's actually like the word white is the most common last name.
That's interesting.
That doesn't astonish me. I know, like,
so the joke would have been equally as good if he goes, "There's a lot of whites in here," you know what I mean? Like, but it probably would have been too edgy for Pixar, I guess.
Definitely.
So they went with the safe Garcia, which is a common, very, very common name.
All right. So Hale, hit me.
Oh, so
He
final
can't.
thoughts. No, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
So
can hear you.
final thoughts.
Give us final
are-
thoughts. And give us a rating on the absolute bullshit to true greatness spectrum.
I think final thoughts are just that it was a really nice feel good movie to have just completely immersed myself into, and I totally forgot about reality for like the time it was in. So I highly recommend it. Everyone should go see this movie. All ages, every single person on the planet can enjoy this movie, and I think that it deserves true greatness.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
PJ.
Well, I think it's a fantastic movie, but like I said, the cutesy kitty stuff, it doesn't really tug on my heartstrings. Like the little souls saying hell, like that's probably the most edgy thing in the movie, by the way. I can see how like people would laugh at that, but I'm just like, get me back to Earth, because all the stuff on Earth, just the way it looks and the characters we meet there.
Didn't
the
they
greatest
say
thing about this
HE
movie.
double hockey sticks?
Yes, he says it, and then
Oh,
they all
that's
say
right.
hell,
Oh,
hell.
that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, thinking back on it, it's like it's kind of cute, but like watching, I'm like, like get back to Earth. So that's just my personal. I get why people. I love the style of animation they have in that place, but I would give it a great. I think it's great.
Sweet.
Jerry.
You know that already, and probably all of you suspect, but I'm gonna give a true greatness to it. I loved everything about it. It was, for me personally, emotional. It touched me in many ways. The music was fantastic. The visual style was amazing. And yeah, even though there was one thing that we kept thinking about it with my wife, and we watched the movie at the end. It's like, who was the girl who they were talking about when Joe was coming out from Joe and 22 were leaving the hospital, and then it's like, oh, who is this woman? And I forgot the name, but
Lisa.
Lisa, yeah. And then we never really got to the end of who's Lisa. We never even seen Lisa in the picture. I thought it was somewhere relevant, but
that kind of stood out to me too. By the way, I was like, "Where's this Lisa?" And then I didn't care at the end. I was like, "Oh well, he'll probably meet her again."
Yeah, but other than that, it was it was just a lovely, heartwarming story that anyone should see, and anyone should see. It's an amazing movie. It's a true greatness from me.
Yep. I totally agree. Anyone should see it. I'm reminded of talking to my nephew last night. My nephew is 3. My niece is 8. Both of them liked it, but what sticks out to me is that my 3-year-old nephew, he was like, "Oh, my favorite part of the movie was when he fell down in the hole and was really hurt." I was like, "Oh my gosh, dude! Like, look at you, dude. You're 3 years old. And you're so like, you're like dark, And just recently, he had watched the Star Wars movies with his parents, and he absolutely loves Darth Vader. But anyway, so I give this movie a good. The things that resonated with me are, courage. Also, finding the beauty in the little things about your life. This movie did motivate me to go out and start looking for a new car because my car is trash, and a car is a tool. I am going to use this new car to go and spend more time with my brothers, my nephews, and my niece to also see my dad. You know, in a way, you know, the pandemic makes me think that I should like keep putting my life on hold. But you know, like while we're doing this, time just keeps going by and keeps going by and keeps going by. So, and then you know, your life can be over tomorrow. So you know, you need to invest in who is important to you, and you just can't wait because sometimes you just don't have another day. And so this movie did motivate me to get serious about looking for my vehicle, and I'm gonna buy a CX-5 or a Forester, and I just can't figure it out. Guys, give me some advice. What would you buy?
Do a Twitter poll. That's how I make all my decisions. Just do a poll on Twitter.
It has to be so many people that know about cars on Twitter. So
is the CX-5 a Honda?
No, the CX-5 is a Mazda.
Oh, Mazda. Okay. And then what about the Forester? What's that?
It's a Subaru.
I vote for the Subaru.
I do too. My father's always been into Subarus, and I can say that Mazdas don't support the cold and the snow too much, but that might not be a problem where you are.
You know, I vote for the one that's gonna cost you less to save some money.
So they're actually the same price. You know, like
Okay, so which one consume less petrol or gasoline?
Oh,
There you go. I vote for that one. I vote for the more eco-conscious.
So basically, everybody said Subaru. Thank you.
All right. Okay, well, you guys have seen my review on this channel. Hopefully, if you guys are watching this, I gave it a great. I don't think it's true greatness. I think it's a great, which puts it mid-range Pixar, which just I think it reflects on how good the Pixar films are. Like the quality of Pixar films, they always blow me away. Even the worst ones are the ones I still love, and I still truly always find something great to find in them, like that they deliver. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys all for being with me. I think this stream had a bit of a problem in the technical difficulties in the beginning. Like the you noticed that too. The
It's
beginning
always
of the
me.
Oh, it's you?
It's me. Something happens on my end. You guys disappeared for a while, and I was scared.
No, I think
It felt like I went
think
into
we were
the
talking
afterlife.
No, I think we were all talking for a few minutes, and then the stream picked up, which is weird. So, in any case, like, subscribe, tell all your friends about this new channel where we talk about just anything. We might try to do more conversations about whatever movies that come out next. We'll see what the studios deliver.
Can I promote your competing channel, PJ's Media Reviews? Thanks.
Oh, can I ask a quick question really fast?
Go ahead.
Did you guys have a favorite character in the movie to you? Like I had one that I absolutely loved.
I love Terry. I love Mr. the Accountant. I think he's like a standout character. And I know I should be liking the human characters, but this guy was just he blew me away.
What was I liked the mom.
Okay.
I like Moonwind, Terry, Des.
He said one character. He said
He's
one.
breaking the rules. He's changing the count off.
Just for the voice acting alone, it has to be Terry.
Okay.
Just the funny tone of her voice is just like is a highlight of the film, and gets me through those silly parts in the netherworld or whatever you call it.
Oh, the silly parts. I love that. I loved the.
It got him through the netherworld. That was he wanted to come back to the real world. So.
And Graham Norton is also very good.
Okay.
Gary, you got a favorite character?
I don't know. I rarely do favorites, but I liked two characters. I liked basically 22 and Joe, the two main character, and I think a little bit more. I liked more Joe's character because sometimes it reminded me of myself.
Nice. What about
he's
you,
a relatable
Braxton?
character though, isn't he? He's
super relatable.
It speaks to that ambition in all of us, like trying to follow your dream and like you're stuck and you're just trying to get there. And then some of us who actually like who are fortunate enough to live the dream, it's like again, it's not as exciting. You built it up so much, and you want the ocean, but you're already in the water. You know what I mean?
Nice. Wow, that's deep.
Indeed, indeed.
That's really deep. I like that.
I get
It
a
is.
feeling, Braxton, your favorite character was Terry as well.
So so who was Terry again, dude?
Terry's the accountant.
Okay, so Terry's the one who was like searching all the files, like looking for the name. Yeah, he is he's my favorite. I really connected with Terry. So I thought that he was just one of the Jerrys, but he was like accountant Jerry.
Terry's a she, by the way. I don't know if they identify it by.
They don't
gender,
have
but-
genders,
No.
I don't think. These
We
these
won't be able to
beings-
know if we go to Memory Alpha.
Because he has that Australian male
That's another
accent.
thing.
Australian
New Zealand,
male.
yeah.
Or New Zealand, yeah.
The actor, she's from New Zealand. She was in Thor Ragnarok as Jeff Goldblum's like little sidekick.
Are you
And,
serious? That person was that's a woman's voice, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was surprised too. But she
You
does
should-
it really well. It's really
You
good.
should also-
She,
you should
she does
also
the
go and
vo-
watch,
she does the
Hunt
voice of
for Wilder
Granny in
People.
Moana too.
No, I'm not talking about the Jerry who was just kind of like who greeted him when he came to the Soul World.
No,
I'm talking
we're
to the one
talking
who was
about-
like looking through the files, like
Yes.
oh, like,
Terry,
I know
that's-
this here.
that's a woman.
Yes.
I watched this movie twice, and I did not.
I didn't know either. When I looked up the voice
Mm.
cast, I was like, oh, that's the woman from Call of the Wilder People. It's that Taika Waititi movie.
Hunt for the Wilder People.
Hunt
But yeah,
for the
no,
Wi- and she's often associated with Taika Waititi. Anything he does, she's usually involved somehow, and she's involved in Pixar now. But she does do a kind of a lower tone. Her voice is a little bit higher in real life, but yeah, like it
But she's
confused me
able
too.
to
But
change
it's
her
great.
voice quite a bit because in Moana she pushed the elderly envelope
Yeah.
on the voice, so she's really good at voice acting.
She's
too.
really good. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Pixar
All right.
announced their next one, which is called Luca. So I look forward
Luca.
to.
Well, that's an
seeing
Italian
Luca.
themed film. That's gonna happen like in a little small Italian.
village.
And it's about
Yeah.
to making a pizza pie.
It might be. I'm hoping it's more profound than that, but
I think it's about like a kid and his adventures in the Italian countryside. And let me just tell you, I was in the Italian countryside. It's gorgeous. I can imagine a nice little life there.
Oh wow, dude! I want to eat some
That's
grapes.
going to be a visually stunning movie as well.
I have
Oh, yeah.
watched
Alright.
the Godfather films. Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Robbie, for being in the audience. Thank you guys for discussing this with me, and we'll see you all next time. Like, subscribe, and that's it. We'll see what we talk about next time.